Phoebe Ann Moses was born on August 13, 1860, in Darke County, Ohio. Her birthplace, a rough settler's cabin built by her father Jacob, was near the tiny village of Woodland. It was also close enough to the woods for good hunting. Even as a tiny girl, Annie loved to go hunting with her father. Sadly, Jacob Moses died of pneumonia when Annie was 5 years old. He left her mother, Susan, with 6 young children to care for. Susan Moses was a hard-working country nurse, but her wages, $1.25 a week, were not nearly enough to feed and clothe the family. They were very poor. Annie and her brother and sisters helped out as best they could. They cared for the animals, did the laundry, worked in the garden, baked and cooked and sewed and looked after the babies. "Somehow we managed to struggle along," Annie said of those times. Annie always liked roaming in the woods. They were alive with squirrels, rabbits, chipmunks, turkeys, and pheasants. She began making traps, corn stalks stacked up and tied with string, to catch wild birds. Her father had taught her how to make them, and she was good at it. Her traps put food on the table every day. We served them toasted with dressing, fried, boiled, fricasseed, and in pot pies. And sometimes they made a nourishing broth, Annie wrote of the birds she caught. As welcome as the food was, Susan Moses found Annie's hunting troubling. She wanted her daughter to be a lady, not a hunter. Moreover, Susan was a Quaker. She believed in living without harming others. She had forbidden Annie to touch Jacob's rifle, which hung over the fireplace. Annie had never shot a gun, but she had watched her father many times. One day when she was alone, she climbed on a chair and took down the rifle. She knew she was disobeying her mother. She also knew her brothers and sisters were nearly sick with hunger. Somehow Annie managed to load and fire the big old rifle, and to hit a squirrel. When she brought it home, Susan Moses was pleased to have food for the family, but she was also disturbed by Annie's growing interest in guns. They might be necessary for survival, but they were dangerous. Susan Moses did not like them. Annie felt differently. "I guess the love of the gun must have been born in me," she said. By the time she was 10, she was handling her father's rifle with ease.